There's something very unusual about World of Warcraft, because when people talk about WoW, they usually talk about raids, expansions, bosses, or PvP. But honestly, the reason Azeroth became so memorable for millions of players was never only the gameplay itself. It was the fact that over time, WoW slowly evolved into an actual social world with its own culture, habits, unwritten rules, and communities. And maybe that's why people still talk about it differently from most online games, even today. So, let's dive a little deeper into this, and in this video, I'll try to explain a phenomenon of a WoW community and why this game is so important. One of the strangest things about WoW culture is how players slowly created completely random social rituals that somehow became normal. Standing on mailboxes, constantly jumping while talking, spinning in circles during conversations, inspecting random players in capital cities, duels outside Stormwind and Orgrimmar, just standing in the exact same spots on every server. None of these things were ever explained by the game itself. Players simply copied each other until these habits became part of WoW culture, and eventually, they became so normal that nobody even questioned them anymore. At some point, mailboxes stopped being mailboxes. They became social platforms. Inspect stopped being just a mechanic. It became a way to silently judge progression, status, and experience. Even movement itself became social behavior. People almost never stood still in WoW. Players simply created their own body language inside virtual worlds. Even some of the players became legendary for constantly repeating certain habits, like Riverwind, for example, from Maelstrom server, who was standing still near Ironforge mailbox almost every time and every day till people started calling a place a Riverwind spot. What truly made WoW special for many players was a strange unwritten code the community slowly developed over the years. High-level players randomly buffing low levels while passing by. Warlocks summoning strangers just to help them. People spending hours helping guildmates farm mounts, attunements, or professions. Veterans explaining raid mechanics to completely new players. A lot of these social behaviors became especially visible again during hardcore WoW, because when death actually mattered, players naturally started relying on each other more. Random buffs suddenly felt meaningful again. Helping another player survive created genuine interaction between strangers. Even small moments, like seeing somebody fighting too many mobs and stepping in to help, started feeling important. Those interactions became memorable, not because the game scripted them, but because real players created them for each other. But the same freedom that created community also created some incredibly toxic behavior. Corpse camping, quest griefing, killing important NPCs just to ruin progression for others, trade chat toxicity, ninja looting, passive aggression toward anyone not playing the correct meta. Over time, entire reputations formed around certain players, guilds, and server communities. Some people became respected, others became infamous, and strangely enough, that darker side also contributed to WoW feeling more real, because actions actually had social consequences. Server communities remembered behavior, people developed rivalries, guilds developed reputations, players built blacklists. Unlike modern matchmaking systems, you often couldn't simply disappear anonymously after acting horribly. The community itself remembered who you were. And maybe this is the part many people outside online gaming never fully understood. For a lot of players, WoW wasn't just a game. It became a genuine social space during a time when many modern online platforms barely existed yet. People met long-term friends there, relationships started there. Some players used WoW almost like a social network. Years before Discord, Tinder, and modern online communities became part of everyday life. Guilds became daily routines. Ventrilo and TeamSpeak became places where people spent entire evenings together. And for some players, especially those isolated in real life because of illness, disability, or loneliness, Azeroth became a way to experience community and social interaction they struggled to find elsewhere. Virtual worlds gave people a chance to exist somewhere together, and that was truly wonderful.
World of Warcraft still occupies a very important place in gaming culture, even after all these years. Because people rarely remember it only through mechanics. They remember the guild they stayed with for years, the random player who helped them, the toxic rival they hated, the late-night dungeon runs, the strange social rituals everyone somehow understood without explanation. Over time, Azeroth stopped feeling like just a map designed by Blizzard. It became a world partially shaped by the players themselves, through habits, communities, friendships, drama, memories, and millions of small interactions no developer could ever fully script. For many players, that's what made WoW feel different from almost every other online game. It didn't only feel like a game world, it felt like a social world they can live in. And as always, guys, play chill.